So I want everybody to put their hand out this morning. Okay? We've got a closed fist. Start with a closed fist. Everybody got it? Okay? Now I want you to open your hand. All right? So this curriculum is what's in your hand. What's in your hand. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to start saying, God, show me what you've given me. Show me what you put in my hand. And then show me what you want me to do with that. All right? And so for the next 6 weeks, I'm asking you to open your heart and open your hand, and God will reveal. He'll reveal what he has placed in your hand, and he's going to reveal what you should be doing with it. Now, here comes the challenging part. We have the choice. This morning we're really going to talk about maybe some general areas of things he's put in our hand, but once he's put something in our hand, we have a choice what to do with it. Right? Okay, so I'm asking you to be open to the Holy Spirit on this, all right? Okay, so I'm gonna ask my helper to come now, all right? And we're gonna do a little illustration this morning. Okay, so I want you to stand right there. All right, I am God and you are you. Okay? All right. So I'm going to give you a piece of candy. Have you ever given something to your child, you knew what it was, and then you asked them to show you what's in the hand and they wouldn't show you? So I give you a piece of candy, all right? Okay, hold it. Now, if he was my young child, he would, maybe we would go away for a little while, but I know what's in his hand, and I say, let me see what's in your hand. Let me see what's in your hand. I already know, show me. Okay, just hold your hand out. Is it in that hand? Okay, give me the other hand. Hold it out. Okay, let me see. Oh, it's not even in there. Okay, let me see. Let me see. Okay, I'm trying it. Let me see what's in your hand. Open your hand. Who gave it to you? I gave it to you, right? So I already know what's in there, right? Okay, open your hand. Are you afraid I'm going to take it from you? You're afraid I'm going to take it back? And then you won't have anything. Okay, you can have the candy.
That's good.
That's what we do with God. He says, here it is. Freely I give to you. It's yours. Right? And so we're like, great, it's mine. It's mine. And then he says, can I see what's in your hand? No. Because I'm afraid you're going to take it from me. But here's my challenge to you. We serve a loving God that loves us more than anything or anybody that we could ever imagine. He loved us so much that he gave his son for us. So that he would, that's how much he loves us. He wanted that relationship with us so bad. And he wants to bless us. He wants to put things in our hands. But how many times does he put something in our hand and we grab a hold of it? It's mine. You gave it to me. It's mine. Well, just show me what's there. And I believe he wants to open the hand so he can put more in it. Or maybe there's things in our hands that we're holding on to that are not according to his plan for us, which is to prosper us and not to harm us, to give a great hope and future. So he's going to take that out and he's going to put something better in. But we are closed fists. We are tight. We don't trust God enough to think that if we show him what's in his hand, he won't steal it and take it away and we'll be empty-handed. So that's my challenge to you. That we would open our hands, and you know, sometimes it's not good things. Sometimes it's not candy. Sometimes it's not something good that we like. Something that's just we feel comfortable. Like, have you ever held on to something so long that you can't pry your hands off of it anymore? Even if it's bad? You know, you're on a roller coaster and it was so, and then you stop and you're like, I can't wait to get off, but I can't get my hands off We're that way too. We hold on so tight to things because it's comfortable. It's what we know. We like to know what we're going to expect even if it's bad. At least we know it. So the verse that we're going to look at today is in Matthew 25. So you can turn there and hold on to that. Until we get there, I want to look over a couple of things on your handout. Okay, how many of you believe that God has blessed you? Okay. This whole lesson is on stewardship. Now, I intentionally did not advertise it as a stewardship lesson. Does anybody know why? Why would I not advertise this as a stewardship?
Because people don't want to talk about money.
People don't want to talk about money. And so I was like, but I want you to encourage you in this. Stewardship is so much more than money. And stewardship, money may be not a problem for some people. I can let God have all my money. But for some people, it's other things. So God doesn't need our money. He doesn't need anything that we have to offer him, but he wants us to be blessed in the ability to give it to him. So I want you to think a minute, what has God placed in your hand? What has he given you? So I've given you a list of things here. And on that list is he's given you time, he's given you talents and giftings, he's given you treasures and possessions, he's given you finances, he's given you relationships, and he's given you an understanding of him. So those are the 6 things that God has placed in your hand. Those are the 6 things that we're going to be talking about over the next 6 weeks. Those are all totally different areas of things that God has given us. And we're going to look at what are we doing with that. Are we holding it tight and not letting go and not even letting God see it, even though he already knows what's there? Or are we opening our hand? So what I would like for you to do is I'd like for you to take a few minutes, and you won't be able to spend a lot of time on this because there's 6 of them. And we'll get more in depth as we go through each one individually. But I want you to go through it on the lines below there. I want you to think about those 6 things and begin to make a list of at least one of each of those areas of something God has given you. All right, so take like 5 minutes and write down 6 different things under those 6 different categories that you feel like God has given you in your life. All right, okay, go ahead and do that.
You mean like under time?
Yes,
under,
yes,
okay.
yes. What has God given you in the area of time? What has he given you in the area of gifts and talents, the areas of treasures and possessions, the area of finances, the areas of relationships, and the areas of understanding of him? What has he given you? And we're going to talk about each one of these individually, but let's just throw out answers to me. How has God blessed you with time? Okay, good. He paused your life and gave you time with your dreams, so that's an excellent one.
By myself.
Okay, time by yourself. Okay, good. What else?
I see with Steve and his needing so much time management in his truck, and there's been many times that he didn't think he was going to make it where he needed to be, and at the last second he was where he needed to be with 9 seconds left
Okay,
while I was with him.
good.
And so we thought we was going to be stuck.
Right.
somewhere.
Okay, good. And isn't that true too? You ever get so wound up about thinking about you don't have enough time that you waste time thinking about how much you don't have enough time, and you can't even think clearly because, and so God does allow time. I love that. Or that time when you know you're only going to get a short amount of sleep, and you think, I'm going to be so tired because I only get this much, and God, somehow, you wake up fully rested. That's a great example. What else time has he blessed all of us with? Stanley?
Enough time.
Okay, enough time. How many hours in a day do you have?
24.
How many hours in a week do you have? 168. So he's given us all time. He's put time in our hands. And we're going to go expand on this a little bit more next week. I'm not going to camp here. But think about that before next week. He's given you time. What are you doing with that time? All right? What about gifts and talents? What are some things that he's given you? Stanley?
All the talents I need.
All the talents you need. Okay. Let's go specifically. You're right. He is. That's right. He gives us just what we need. You're absolutely right. Anybody have a gifting or talent? I heard Kara. I heard that voice. Where is she? Yes. Right? And we do think of obvious things. To me, I remember growing up thinking, I want to sing. Why did God give me the ability to sing? He didn't give me the ability to sing. He didn't give me the ability to play the piano. Then I didn't give me the ability to draw. He didn't give me all the obvious things. He didn't give me. So I must not be given any talents or giftings. Right? That's not true. Okay? So you all wrote something down. And we're going to talk about those things and how important it is that specifically he planned a seat for you. He made you who you are, and he gave you gifts and talents. Treasures and possessions. We can all think of things that he has given us, that are ours, that he's given us, that we love. Some things we really love. Anybody have something they really love? Like Miss, what is it? What?
My dog.
Your dog. That's a good one. Okay. He's given us all things that we really love, that we if we're not careful, we could hold really, really tight to those, right? Have you ever had one of those things like, I'll give you anything, but just don't ask for that, that one thing, right? Finances. He meets our needs in finances. We'll talk more about that. Relationships. Almost everybody I walked by had a relationship on there, an important relationship to them, something God has given them that fulfills a need in their life. and then an understanding of him. And sometimes I think we don't think of that as stewardship, but when he gives us revelation and understanding, and he gives us insight to his word, what are we supposed to do with that? And so that's the last one. So what does God want to teach you personally about stewardship? What is stewardship? I want you to talk at your tables about what's stewardship?
Taking care of what God has given.
Okay, Sarah said taking care of what God has given you. That would be good stewardship. They may have to come anything different than that. Stewardship. What do you got there?
A person who acts as a surrogate of another or other, this, I'm just looking at the definition. The responsible overseeing and protection of something considered worth caring for and preserving.
Okay, surrogate, overseer. You're taking care of something that's not yours. I like that, right? That's stewardship, when you've been given something to take care of and you choose what you do with it. Are you a good steward of what you've been given or a poor steward of what you've been given? And I want to warn you, God's been working on me in this. That's why I brought it to you, because he says to me, Jane, you're not being a good steward of that. I have freely given it to you. You did not earn it. You do not deserve it, but I've given it to you. What are you going to do with it? And we are possessive people naturally. If we've been given something, even if we didn't deserve it, we didn't earn it, we hold on tight to things that we like because we are naturally, we feed our flesh, and it's mine and I and me, and we can justify being selfish over and over again. So let's turn to Matthew 25. I want to take time to really get into the Word and look at Matthew 25. We're going to start with verse 14. And I'm going to read this story to you, this parable, and I want you to begin to thinking about the word stewardship as we go through this. It says, again, it will be like a man going on a journey. Now, this is Jesus talking. He says, again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one, he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. Also, the man with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. Let's stop there for just a minute, all right? So here you've got a master who owns all of this. And he says to his servants, okay, you get 5. You get, what did he give the second one? 2. And the last one? 1. All right? So he gives them, and he gives them according to their abilities. All right? So in this, it probably meant what they had the ability or knowledge to do with those bags of gold. So he already pre-knew this person 5, this person 2, this person 1. So when they held out their hands, the master put it in their hands, right? Those bags of gold. Okay, he's going to leave. He's going to leave them and let them do with it. So let's pick back up in verse 19. It says, after a long time, I think that's key. He was gone a long time. The master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathered where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you. So he gives the bag, 1 bag back. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. You knew that I harvested where I had not sown and gathered where I had not scattered seed. Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the banker so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. What's in your hand? Have you ever complained because God didn't give you very much? As a matter of fact, he didn't give me very much, so I'm going to hold on to what I do have as tightly as I can because I might lose it. And as a matter of fact, I'm not only going to hold on to it tightly, I'm mad at you because God gave you 5 and he only gave me 1. All the more reason for me to not trust God and hold on tight to that 1. Let's not go there. And I don't like the ending to this story. Like, I want to just stop. Have you ever read the word and you're like, I like the good places. I want to do that. I don't even want to go there. But he ends it and says, oh, throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness. This is Jesus talking, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. He says, I'm not putting up with that. God is a just God. So we'll move from there. I don't like that piece. But it's true. And I see it. And sometimes I see it in myself. There's things that I compare myself to others. And I'm judgmental and I'm unhappy and I feel mistreated. So at least what I do have, I better hold on to, because he's going to try to take that candy out of my hand, and then I'll be left with nothing. Do you think this guy knew the master very well? If he would have known the master very well, he would have known what was going to happen, because that's what happened to it. So let's back up and let's go back to the man that he gave 5 bags to. Okay, he gives him 5 bags and he leaves. Now, I think a real key in this is that he's not right there telling them what to do. They have to know the master well enough to know what they're supposed to do with what's in their hand. So what's the key in what God's put in our hand? What's the key in that? Jesus isn't here walking with us, but he says he's coming back. So what's the key in what he puts in our hands? What do we need to know that's going to make the most benefit according to what he's put into our hands?
What his will is.
What his will is. How are we going to know his will?
No, him.
We have to know him. How are we going to know him?
Study him, be in his word.
We're going to be in his word. We're going to be with other believers. It keeps coming back to this. Every stinking curriculum, is that right? Matthew 6:33. Matthew 6:33. Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God, his righteousness, knowing who he is, being right with him, and all these things will be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Every time he says, seek me first. Love me with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. When they ask him, what was the greatest command? Love me with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's what he told them. That's the key. Know the master so you know what to do with what he's put in your hand. If we don't know the master, we think he's going to steal it from us. If we show him what we have, he's going to snatch it. Is that the God we serve? Absolutely not. He says, let me see what your hand. Do you like that? That's a good thing for you. I gave it to you. I think I'll give you some more. Karen.
I also thought of that God trusts you with what he has given you. So understanding that he's not just given you this talent or this gift or whatever it is to let you just sit on it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
actually trusts you
Yes.
to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is why if you don't use it correctly, he won't bless you with more.
Yeah.
Which might be an insight into why the guy next to you might get more talents.
Right. It might be a great insight. It might be a great insight. It might also be a sense of, I just gave you 1, but I'm seeing if I can trust you with it. I'm seeing if I can trust you with it. And so I want you to really hone in on this concept, because we're going to do it for all these things. It's not just God gave you $1, what did you do with it? It's God gave you a gifting and talent, what did you do with it? God gave you time, what did you do with it?
Wasted it away.
If you wasted it away, you may not, and so my question to you this week, begin to ponder these things. What are the things that you're frustrated with? I never have enough of this. I'm continually fighting and I'm frustrated and I never have enough. Maybe it's because you're holding it so tight you won't even open your hand enough to let God see what it is and how he can use it. So I want you to think about this. Do you want to be the guy with 5 that God's given you 5? Do you want to be the guy that God's given 3? Or do you want to be the guy that God's given 1? Now this is a complex question. Which one do you want to be and why? So I'm going to have you talk about that. Which one of those do you want to be? What do you want? You want God to put a lot in your hand? You want him to put a medium or small amount and why? I want to go back to the word here. As you've discussed this piece, it says that he gave them according to their abilities. And I think that ability piece here is he gave them according to the ability of their risk-taking, their measure of faith. Because for every single one of them, there was a big risk they took, all right? The one that he gave 1 to, he says, I know your ability to take risks and to trust me and to know me. Maybe you don't know me as well and you're not sure what's going to happen when I leave, so I'm going to give you 1. I'm testing you. I'm still going to give you 1. He gives us all something. What do we do with that 1? It wouldn't have been a big risk for that 1 with 1, right? The worst thing that happened is he loses 1. But he still had to make a choice. And I believe the master knew his ability. That's why I only gave him 1. And he met the expectation, right? He buried it because he was afraid of the master. He was, I hold on to it tight. At least I'll have, when he comes back, where's that windy? At least I'll have this to show him, right? Maybe he'll be happy that I just still at least kept what I had and I didn't lose it. Okay, he gave 2. So he said, I feel like you have a little bit more ability to take risks. When God puts something in your hand, he says, you got to trust me enough to take a risk with that. What does that mean? You got to trust me enough to take a risk with that. And every one of these is going to ask you, if God's given you something, you're going to take a risk with that. If we, an obvious one that we see, if we go talents, okay, I'm going to give Kara the talent of singing. I'm also going to give her some insight and understanding to the Holy Spirit. And I'm also going to give her just enough boldness to stand in front of somebody and use my gift. So Kara, what happened when you first discovered that maybe you had some giftings and talents in the area of singing? What did you do with that?
Well, I desired to use it.
Right.
I wanted to use it more because I felt that God gave it to me. So then it became.
So what was the first thing you did though? Do you remember? Like when you, let's say when you came to First Assembly.
I sought out how to use it.
Okay, you went to the worship team,
Mhm.
okay? And so she went to the worship team and she said, okay, and so I'll do this, I'll stand up there. I've watched this evolve. And then all of a sudden she became a little bolder. She started out in the violin, right?
Mhm.
She started with the violin, felt very comfortable with that. He had given you music talent, and then she began to sing. Then she began to get a prophetic ear, like she could hear the Holy Spirit. And God said, begin to sing that out. Okay, now that's a risk, right?
Mhm.
Was it scary at all? Okay, so he said, okay, now I played the violin, and that was good. Now I'm going to have you sing. Then I'm going to begin to give you prophetic word. Then I'm going to ask you to sing the prophetic word. And then I'm going to just ask you to stand up there all by yourself. Maybe I'll give you a piano player. And then there's going to be times when the piano won't show up, and you've just got to lead a group of people with your voice in praise and worship. I've watched this thing evolve. That's a talent that when the master, he hasn't come back yet. There continues to be a risk and more and more and more. That's just an example of talent and treasure, but that's what he does for us. Do not complain if he's just given you a little. Don't go bury it. Don't complain about it. Don't compare yourself. Because it started out just, she was, in school she took violin lessons and she did know how to just play the violin. Even that was a risk for her to stand up there and play the violin. But she felt comfortable and she knew it. What if Kara would have stayed there? That's all I'm doing. And I'm only doing it once every 4 weeks because I'm busy and I don't want to risk my time either. Where would she be today? She'd still be doing one every 4 weeks playing the violin. Where would we be? I wouldn't have heard some things I heard from God if she wasn't willing to stand up there and take the next risk. Nathan?
The other thing I noticed too is that, like you said, it's according to ability. And when you take that risk with things, what that does is it stretches you. And your ability, not only does he want to bless you with more talents, but the reason he will bless you with more talents is because you've been stretched and your ability has grown.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
your abilities and your skills are strengthened rather than just sitting and holding on to the one thing. It's not just about the blessings, but your ability
Yes,
to
that's
handle
right,
the
that's
blessings
right.
changes as you risk.
And we know that's true because we go back to the word here. What about the guy with 5? What ultimately happened to the guy at 5?
Double it.
He doubled it, but then what happened?
He got more.
He gave him the talents of the
Yeah.
other guy. So you're absolutely right. God says, I want to put something in your hand. Use it. I'm going to double it. And then I'm going to double it again. Be faithful in the small things. He'll give you more. He'll give you more. Now, be careful though. This isn't about you. This is about the master. This is about the plan. This isn't about, oh good, I got it. Now, you want some more candy?
Yeah.
Got one, you want another? This is about, God's got a plan. God's got a plan. An amazing, perfect plan. And he's asking you to fit into his plan. And it's going to be so much better than any plan that you could have that you try to fit him into. So he's got a plan, and he's going to show us, he's going to give us things that fit into his plan so that we can be a part of the big picture. Do you want to be a part of God's picture? You want to be a part of the Jane Hickey picture? We want to be, we trust the master enough to know that he's amazing. He's got something big going on here. He's asking us to trust him with all of our heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. You'll get into trouble because that guy with 1, that's all he knew. I know what I know. This is what I know. I know if I bury it, it'll still be there. That's totally within my realm of control and understanding. The guy with 5, he had to take a big risk to do that, but he knew the master was a good man. And there's one other little piece in here, 2 actually, but one of them, I want you to look at the guy who buried it and listen to what he says. He says, the man, in verse 24, the man who had received 1 bag of gold came, master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. Then the master comes back and says, you knew that I harvested where I did not plant, and I gathered, I sowed where I did not harvest, and I gathered where I had not scattered seed. What does he mean by that? Stanley.
It's not a true statement that God is untrustworthy and perhaps what he doesn't. It's the opinion of the man. So
Okay.
the way he saw God is what you're gonna get.
Right.
So for us, it's the way we see God as, that's what you're
That's
gonna
good.
get.
Okay.
Every time, every single time.
So in this, the man was afraid of the master because he didn't know the master. He says, you're powerful. Like, you harvest and you didn't even plant a seed. You pick up seed and it's not even there. So you're powerful, and I was afraid of your power, so I did this. But the master turns it around and says, you knew that I'm so big and so powerful that I don't need anything to make something. I'm a God of impossibilities. I can do things that more than you could ever think, imagine, or ask. And I know that God. So when he gives me 5, there's no worries. If he tells me to take this 5 and use it, he's going to do much more than I could think of. But I trust him enough. So the guy with 5 knew the master. The guy with 1 was afraid of the master because he didn't know him. All he knew was his power. So we go back to, we seek God. We get to know him so that I can trust him. I can totally trust him. He's always going to come through. He has never not come through. He is faithful. I believe that when he says he owns 1,000 cattle on the hillside, do you believe it? Do you believe that he's going to meet my needs according to his riches and glory? Or is that just in the word? Do you believe it? If he asks you to quit your job, do you quit it? Or do you go back to, okay, God, if I quit that teaching job, do you not understand that is half of our salary? And do you not see my 2 children are getting ready to go to college and they need help? They have no money. Do you not see this? Do you not see it? Okay, that's like burying something that he's given me and told me to do because I don't really believe him, because you're a big God, but I don't really trust you. That's what the guy was saying. But the guy with 5 says, okay, you always come through. I'm taking big risks with what I got. So the understanding of who he is another thing he's put in our hand. There is so much here. So hopefully you're excited. Each week we're going to take each piece of this and look at what has God given you specifically. He wants to speak to you specifically. That's why I had you start thinking. Start thinking this week in each of these areas. What has he given me? And am I a good steward of it? What am I doing? The last thing that I'm just going to end with, because I love this. Each one of the men that took the talents and expanded, he says to them, let's look at verse 21. He says, his master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many. Come and share your master's happiness. Okay, so this is jumping up and down time. Okay, if we believe this and we start opening our hands, then God's going to say, and I don't believe we have to wait till we get face to face with God. I believe he's going to start saying, well done, good and faithful servant. I've trusted you with a little, and you were faithful in that. Come and share my happiness. Come and see who I am. Let me tell you my secrets. Let me help you know me. That's the best part of all this. Not only is he going to expand what I'm doing, but he's going to help me know his big plan so that I can know how I fit into it, and he's going to give me more to fit into it and more to fit into it. I can't wait. Open your hand. Open your hand. Quit holding on to it because you are frustrated and you're overwhelmed because you can't hold on to it. He already knows what's in your hand. And I believe that guy that buried it, he went and checked every day. Make sure nobody had dug it up. That's how we act. Okay, instead, let's just dance and sing and be free and say, God is telling me, good, well done and good, faithful servant. I'm open my hands. You can have whatever I want. And I get to know the secrets of God. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. We're going to do this. In 6 weeks, let's be different. Let's make our hands open so that we can receive and that we can give all that he has for us. Let's pray together. Oh God, you are our master. God, we are your servants. And God, you have put talents in our hands. You have put finances. You have put time. You have put giftings and abilities and deep understanding. God, give us an open hand. Give us an open spirit, that we would not only see it, but we would be excited about the possibilities of what you're telling us to do with it. God, we want to know your plan. We want to know the deep things of you. And we believe that's the reason you put these things in our hands. God, give us eyes to see, ears to hear. God, that we will not walk through life the same, but we will be people who are willing to trust you enough to get to know you and to take risks for you. And I just ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.